Hi, it's David Blaze. I got a letter today, and it sounds to me like the guy who sent me this letter is in a situation that's similar to what some other people are dealing with. So I figured I'd just go through it point by point and address it for his benefit and also for yours. He starts out, okay, let's see if I can give you an insight to our business. First, I type in caps. It's easier for me. My wife does all the important typing to customers, so please read for concepts. Okay, so obviously it's easier to type in caps. It's harder to read, but we'll work our way through. We've been in business for 20 years and have done almost everything to attract new customers. Okay, almost everything. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but sounds like he's tried quite a few things. Some of those old methods no longer work, like the phone book. Okay? I've never been a strong advocate of using the phone book, but to say that it doesn't work, I think is probably not totally accurate. We don't make cold or warm physical calls. Okay, well then in terms of doing almost everything, that takes out a big chunk of things right there. There's just the two of us, and now my wife handles sales and I do all the office work, bills, marketing, problems, computers, mail, keeping things in order, juggling money, etc. Downside of things is that with the economy and an extreme loss of income from investments, we're in a very tight situation where the most we can rely on is some email marketing, a smaller amount of direct marketing, and warm calls to our old customers. Business is slow and we are just holding on. Our customers are always happy with us, but it's getting the phone to ring. Obviously, there are specific things that you can do to get the phone to ring. If you are limited in terms of what you can do to make that happen, if all you can do is some email marketing and a small amount of direct marketing and warm calls to old customers because you're not willing or able to make cold calls or warm physical calls, if you're not doing any new targeting of any new businesses, not going after any new businesses, then getting the phone to ring is going to be more difficult because you are forced to rely on just the customers that you already have. He said, I've recently taken on a commissioned salesman who sells other advertising and he tries to promote us at the same time. This is also a slow go. Yeah, because chances are, if he's been selling other types of advertising and he's never been trained in how to sell promotional products, he's going to have a difficult time. If you've been doing it for 20 years, he's been doing it for 20 minutes, and this person has never been trained in how to sell consultatively, then it's going to be difficult. There's also an aspect of advertising that people don't like to talk about, but I've been involved in traditional advertising, so I know this. Traditional advertising in a lot of cases looks down on promotional advertising. So if you've worked in traditional advertising and now you're getting involved in promotions, there's often a temptation not to promote it aggressively because it's always been sort of looked at as the ugly stepchild of the advertising industry. I've not found that to be the case, but some other people have. Also, we can't teach that which we don't know. So if you sell a certain way and you don't do cold calling and you don't do physical warm calling, you can't really teach something that you've never done yourself. So you may be limiting your salesperson based on your own limitations. That's why we have a program called Getting Started, which teaches people how to do this business well from the ground up, from all aspects, so that it plays particularly to each individual's strengths. And we'll be talking more about the idea of playing to your own strengths in just a few moments. This is not a new game for us, so we know all about selling the idea or program. That's good to help business grow. But most of our customers have small budgets, and we do the best to help their business with ideas that are restricted by dollar value items. Okay, this indicates a problem. Most of our customers have small budgets, all right? That's a problem right there. And the reason that's a problem is that you don't really want just customers who have small budgets. All right, you're going to have to expand your horizons if you want to actually get to some money. You can't very well say, I do just about everything I can do to market, but I have customers that have small budgets and I'm not willing to do any marketing to go after any new people, or I have no budget to go after new people. You don't necessarily need budget, but you do need time and you do need willingness to be able to do it. You have to be willing to take the actions that are necessary in order to get out there and get some new business through the door. So we do the best to help their business with ideas that are restricted by dollar value items. Okay, once again, if you're spending a lot of time to put together promotions for people who have very little money, then you're not going to be generating a whole lot of sales. I've said this in previous materials, I've said it in some of my training materials. Selling to poor people is not a viable business strategy. So if that's all you have to deal with, you've got to begin to expand your horizons. We do virtual samples and give good service, but we are limited by manpower or by will to do all the things you might think we should do. That's huge right there. If you lack the will to do the things that you need to do, that is absolutely going to restrict you. It's going to hold you back, and it is going to crush your chances of being able to prosper in this economy. It is easy to sell when the economy is good. When the economy is good, anyone can sell promotional items. When the economy is more difficult, you have to take a different approach. One of my favorite quotes of all time was from a man named Albert E. N. Gray. And Albert E. N. Gray said, "The successful person has formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do." If you are limited by manpower or a will to do the things you need to do in order to be successful, if you're limited by that, if you allow that to continue to limit your actions, it is going to be very difficult for you to overcome financial hurdles. I do not make street calls, nor do we deliver. Our operation is limited to phone, fax, and email for ordering, and we're always here to answer the phone. Well, that's great. That is the job of an order taker. Being there to answer the phone is the job of an order taker. But as you indicated earlier, if the phone's not ringing, you don't need an order taker. What you need is a salesperson or a marketing person who is going to go out and bring the work in. We try to upsell and provide the right kind of information to customer to help their business grow, but our lack of web presence limits new calls from coming to us. All right, your lack of web presence is not probably what's limiting new calls to coming to you right now. Because if you're not out there, I mean, it may be one way to bring people in, but it's certainly not the only way. You don't want to blame the fact that you don't have a web presence for limiting the new calls from coming to you. What I would say is you need to look at what else am I not willing to do? I don't have a web presence. I'm not willing to contact new people. I'm not going out to see new people. Obviously, that's going to limit you a lot more than just not having a web presence. I tried this in the past, but it was too expensive. Okay, well, it can be. If you're doing it badly, any type of advertising is too expensive. If you're spending money on direct mail and it's not working, if you're doing it badly, it doesn't work and it's too expensive. When you do it well and it works, it's not too expensive. So that's an issue right there by itself. When you're doing things well, when you're doing them right, they work and they're not expensive. When you're doing things incorrectly, then they tend not to work and they tend to get too expensive. I like selling to the general business population, as I feel just because you service a niche market like, say, salons does not mean you are better at it. You will get more business from it. Everybody is trying the same things reported to save your business, and I don't think it applies to everybody or to their style. I'm not sure exactly what he means here, but if you're servicing a niche market, right, it doesn't mean that you're better at it, but it should. All right, if you're servicing a niche market, and if you're dealing with a number of businesses in a particular niche market, you should be better at it than people who do not service that niche market. You should understand their needs better. You should understand their desires better, what they want to do. You should understand their budget constraints better. So if you are actually servicing a niche market, you absolutely should be better at it than people who don't service that niche market. Otherwise, you're just not paying attention. Everybody is trying these same things reported to save your business. That's not true. Everybody is talking about doing the things that are necessary to save their business. Everybody acts as if they're doing the things that are necessary to save their business. Very few people actually do it. There's an old saying, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. More people today than ever are making excuses instead of making money, and that's the problem. They're blaming the economy, they're blaming a lack of web presence, they're blaming all kinds of things, when the fact of the matter is that it really boils down to not doing the things that actually bring the money through the door. I don't think it applies to everybody and or their style. Well, I think that's true. I think that different people's style, different people's approaches resonates with different types of people. If you're the kind of person who likes to buy from somebody who's standing in front of you, then the only type of person that I'm going to buy from likely is somebody who's standing in front of me. If I'm not actually getting in front of people, I'm not going to sell to someone like that. If I like to buy online and you're coming at me in person, well, you're not likely to sell to me. Everybody's got their own personal approach. Everybody's got their own personal style. So whatever you're good at, that's what you should focus on. You need to focus on finding buyers who like that particular approach. If you like making phone calls, you need to find buyers who like buying on the phone. If you like meeting people in person, you need to find buyers who like buying in person. If you like selling online, you need to find buyers who want to buy online. Okay, so what I'm seeing in this letter is you don't have a web presence, you're not making new contacts with people, you're not doing any cold calling, you're not doing any warm calling, you're following up with existing clients who are small, who have no money to spend, and then you're wondering why things aren't working, and that's why. And this has nothing to do with style and everything to do with who you're approaching or not approaching and how you are not approaching them. I'm trying to network with people in like-kind businesses that can make referrals, but this is a time process. I just don't think there is a quick fix for a promotional business that is limited on funds and manpower. Okay, if you don't think there is a quick fix for a business that is limited on funds and manpower, then you're not going to look for any sort of quick fix. And you're going to muddle through this recession or depression or whatever we're calling it today, just like everyone else is. Now, I'm not saying that there is a quick fix for everyone, but I do know this. The people who are focused on driving new business through the door, focused on targeting, focused on gathering the necessary information, focused on making first contact with people, qualifying them quickly, finding out whether or not they have any ability to do business, and then going through that process of bringing them in as clients, getting that first order, getting them into your pipeline, following up at the appropriate time, tweaking and repeating that process. The people who do all those things, they make money, and it doesn't cost a whole lot of money to do it. There's a lot of talk, I know, other wise guys like yourself selling information, but it does not all work, and you must have certain things in play to improve things. Well, that is absolutely true. There's a lot of talk by people selling information, and it doesn't all work. Absolutely fact. There are people who sell promotional products full-time and consult on the side. In other words, now imagine this. You're selling promotional items, and in your spare time, you're teaching other people to compete against you. The only reason I can imagine somebody would do something like that is that they're not making enough money in the promotional products business, and so they're consulting. My situation is a little different. I built up a promotional products business over a period of 10 years. I sold it. I had a no-compete, so I couldn't sell promotional products, but I could teach. So I put together a program called Top Secrets of Promotional Product Sales, and I began selling it into the industry, and I had a lot of people take me up on it. So now I have lots of clients in this industry, and if I would go back to selling promotional products, I would be competing with my clients. The other problem is that if I were selling promotional products, I would not teach the things that I teach. Because honestly, the things that I teach in my materials, if I were selling promotional products, I would not want other people to know them. And that's why I call it top secrets, because it's the kind of stuff that I never told people when I was operating a promotional products business, and I only tell it now to my paying clients because I want them to succeed, which is also the reason I don't compete with them now. I also think if I were selling promotional products and I were consulting with other people in our industry, well, it'd be kind of easy for me to go after their clients. I don't think that's ethical. That's just my approach. But it's different for different people, and not everyone does it that way. But I'm just saying, yes, there's lots of talk, other wise guys selling information, but it doesn't all work. That's right. You have to focus on just the stuff that works. And that's exactly what we do. I mean, we focus on the stuff that is low cost, high impact stuff that works. And that's the reason when we sell our materials, we sell it with a full year ironclad money back guarantee. You could get my program and stick it on a shelf and not do a thing with it. Well, if that's the case, you're not going to make a dime with it. That doesn't work. You can talk about things that don't work. Here's what doesn't work. Not taking action and then blaming other people. That doesn't work. But if you take action on recommendations that make perfect sense to you, chances are you're going to be able to make money with it. But it's all about taking action. You can't just sit there and expect things to change. I'm not saying it's bad information, but it's like money management at the crap table. You must have enough of it to stay in the game until it starts working. That is also true. You can't be completely broke and attempt to operate a business. But if you've got some time, if you've got strong desire, and if you've got a willingness to do what it takes, you don't need a whole lot of money to do it, but you absolutely need the determination. In my Top Secrets of Customer Acquisition program, I walk people through a 6-step process, and I'll walk you through that in just a moment. You can see how really simple it is to follow, but it isn't always easy. I mean, it requires doing the work. You can't just look at a slide and say, oh, okay, now I'm going to make money. You actually have to take action on what it says, and that's where the money is made. Slow and steady, inside your own comfort zone is where I need to be until I myself can recover. Seems to be the answer for us. Some creative advertising may also help, but I don't see a quick fix. All right, I agree there's no quick fix if you are unwilling to try anything new. If you're unwilling to take new actions, if you're unwilling to follow a proven path that succeeds, then there are no quick fixes. However, if you're willing to take the appropriate action at the appropriate time, which is now, by the way, Now is the appropriate time because a lot of people are hibernating, just like this gentleman, hibernating, and while people are hibernating, that's the perfect time to get in front of people with good ideas and position yourself as a recession rescue worker. But you can do it slow and steady. You can do it fast. It's up to you. The important point is that you make a decision to do it, to actually take action. I'm going to walk you through the 6 steps of customer acquisition real quick, and you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, the 6 steps to customer acquisition that I've outlined in the Top Secrets of Customer Acquisition program go like this. It starts with targeting, deciding exactly which types of businesses you're going to go after and which businesses you're going to choose to leave to your competition. So that's actually putting together that list of businesses you're going to target. Then hunting and gathering is getting the information you need as far as the contact information from those businesses so that you know the people that you're actually going to be pursuing within those organizations. And what we do during hunting and gathering is we basically target the potential buyers within the organization, all the various departments, job titles, and people who are likely to spend money on what we do. That's what's done in the hunting and gathering step. Once we've decided what businesses we're going after and who the people are that we're going after, then we move on to first contact in the 3x3 follow-up procedure. Your first contact is the very first contact that people have with you. Makes perfect sense. That's why it's called first contact. That experience is pretty much going to determine what that relationship looks like. So it's very important, and we get into very specific ideas of how that first contact should take place. This is followed by the 3x3 follow-up procedure. Very often I'm asked, how often should I follow up with someone? How should I follow up with them? How do I do that? The 3x3 follow-up procedure walks you through that exact step-by-step process for following up with people to determine whether or not they're going to be good qualified prospects. So during the 3x3 follow-up procedure, we immediately swing into qualification and segmentation. Qualification means asking a series of specific questions designed to find out whether or not this person is a good prospect, someone who is likely to buy from you. During the qualification process, you then segment the people out. Some of them are likely to buy from you. They go into the good buckets, and then other people are not likely to buy from you. They go into the bad buckets. We've got a series of 5 different places that you can segment people out. So as you put them through this procedure, brand new people I'm talking about, after you've qualified them, you'll find out that they go in one of 5 specific places. We do that during segmentation. We outline exactly what those 5 specific places or buckets are, and we tell you how to follow up with each one. That's all included in that program. Then you examine the metrics. You go back and you say, okay, of all the people that I targeted, hunted and gathered, had first contact with, did my 3x3 follow-up procedure, qualified and segmented out, how did those numbers break out? How many of the people that I put through that process are ready to buy now? How many are going to be ready to buy within the next few months? How many of them expressed an interest but aren't ready to go right now? How many of them were obnoxious, rude, and belligerent? And how many of them have I not made contact with? Even though I've tried, how many of them have I not gotten through to? Once you make those determinations, you look at the metrics, and that will tell you exactly where your system is working and exactly where your system is not working. Once you know that, you can then go back and tweak and repeat the process based on the results you've gotten. You look at what worked well in targeting, hunting and gathering, first contact, 3x3 follow-up, qualification, segmentation, and examining the metrics, and then you tweak it to do it better next time when you repeat the process. And you start targeting again, a new group of people. You bring in a new group of people, you do your hunting and gathering, you engage in first contact, your 3x3 follow-up procedure, you qualify a bunch of them in, you qualify another bunch of them out, you segment them out according to where they fall in that procedure, you examine the metrics, and then you tweak and repeat again. This is your system for acquiring customers. If you lack a customer acquisition system in your business will never be all that it is capable of being. Now, what we've done with Top Secrets of Customer Acquisition, we've made this entire system available for $97, and we'll even apply that toward future Top Secrets programs. If you want to buy the Top Secrets of Customer Acquisition, you can get in for $97. You can learn this entire procedure for $97, and then we'll even apply that toward our Getting Started system if you're doing less than $250,000 a year in gross sales, or our Top Secrets of Multi-Million-Dollar Producer system if you're doing more than $250,000 in gross sales. It's a total no-brainer if you are serious about acquiring customers even in this economy. If you'd like complete details on this system, visit our blog site, which is blog.topsecretswebsite.com. There's a blog post on here from January 31st. It's called How to Attract, Qualify, and Convert Promotional Products Clients at Will. In fact, I'll actually provide a link to it right from this video. You can just click the link below and you can access this information. But this explains sort of what the process is, and it gives you an opportunity to order it. So if you want to take advantage of that and you want to invest the $97 and test it out, see how it works in your business. I invite you to do so. If not, it's entirely your call. But the other thing that you should be aware of is that this isn't theory. I mean, this has been tested and proven time after time. In fact, I just want to go real quick to our website, topsecretswebsite.com, and if we go to feedback, you can literally see lots of different people who have taken advantage of this system. Patrick Doyle, Top Secrets helped him turn $400,000 in sales to $800,000. April Stremming, year-over-year sales increased from $169,000 to $939,000. For Cindy Stout, sales doubled, turning her hobby into a real job. Paul Yankee from Innovative Marketing Consultants, 50% sales increase, ROI is staggering. A business up 50% in a 12-year-old company from Ray Billick. $10,000 in sales that I would not have made without the information I received from this course. You can, and that's from Reverend in Berea, Kentucky. You can actually just go to this site yourself, and you can see these testimonials for yourself. You can literally go there, topsecretswebsite.com/feedback.htm. Over here are a bunch of videos. If you click on this, you'll see videos of people who have actually gone through this training.
What really happened was you kept sending us these emails, and I kept reading them and deleting them, and finally one day I said, maybe I'll see what this is all about. And what we ended up doing is we followed a lot of the things you told us, things that you would have thought we didn't think of. But the difference being we now don't call people saying, we've got 30,000 items, which one would you like to buy? We actually call them and say, look, we're not interested in selling you anything right now. Let's talk a little bit about how you do business. And it's startling how many people go, oh, okay. So,
if you want to watch these testimonials by yourself, but what Neil talked about in his video is how he was able to get 22 new clients in just the first quarter and how it's working great for him. But these are all testimonials from different people who have had similar experiences because they're willing to take action. They are willing to do the things. The successful person has formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. If you're willing to take action, if you're willing to do the things that failures are not willing to do, then Top Secrets is very likely for you. If you are not willing to take those actions, then honestly, save your money. You're not going to do yourself any good or us any good if you buy my program and don't implement it. So what I would suggest is if you are a doer, I recommend you take action now. Go to our blog site and start with Top Secrets of Customer Acquisition. Just click on this link and get started with that. And then you can go from there. If the program doesn't work for you, I don't want you to keep it. But if you are not a doer, I really mean this, please do not order. Okay, if you're not going to take action, please don't order. If you are a doer, and if you're serious about making money even in this economy, then I encourage you to get on board now.